Let's go! Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. I hope everyone had a good week. This week has been pretty jam-packed with all that tasty video game news. And of course, Ferret64 is the podcast about video game news, occurrences, first impressions, final reviews, what's coming soon, and so much more. I'm Yemmy the Ferret, and join me in this week's rendition of Ferret 60 Foul. That's right. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing good this week, or weekend, depending on when you're listening to this. And we're just gonna dive right in. And usually I don't do something like this, but the whole debacle with Unity has been such a big news article, like a big news thing, that I do feel like I have to give it its own section at the beginning here, because I feel like that's probably what most people are going to be interested in hearing about first. So let's just dive right in to a new part of the of the show called the big news. All right, on this probably one and only section called big news. Unity has decided to change its fees for game developers who are making video games. Of course, there's always been like a tier system for Unity, depending on how grand of a scale your game is. But essentially, I believe they took out the Unity Plus tier and combined it with the Unity Personal tier now. So now there's the Unity Personal and Unity Plus, Unity Pro, and then the Unity Enterprise. And each of these has different requirements for the Unity runtime fees, which are new, brand spanking new fees being associated with Unity. There's a lot of studios that use Unity for multiple different reasons, whether it's just a easier way to get a game going, get it off the ground floor. It's a pretty easy tool to learn, all things considered. A lot of bigger developers use it for their games too, just because it's a very accessible and open resource for both indie developers and AA and AAA game developers and publishers as well. Not only that, but it slices the development time in half because you don't have to create a whole new game engine for your indie game. I know there's multiple games on Steam that release pretty much daily that use Unity assets or use the Unity engine to get their stuff going, and a lot of those companies will probably not be affected, but a majority of indie developers most likely will, and it's very concerning because there's different tiers of indie developers. There's like the bottom of the barrel, scraping the barrel, like we didn't put any time or effort into this, we just want a paycheck kind of developers who they're going to be the ones who aren't going to be affected by this because their games will sell like 50 copies or whatever, and then they'll move on. You know, all those trophy games on PlayStation that use the Unity engine for a piece of cheese jumping up and down to earn you trophies. I don't think they'll be affected by this. But there is another tier of indie developers who of course, there's like three tiers. So there's like the bottom of the barrel, we're doing the bare minimum. There's the ones who are small and they're trying their best, but they don't have the recognition as the bigger indie studios, which are like I think people call them like AAA indies or whatever. But really, they're just indies at the end of the day. And these are like the bigger indie companies that are making games that are getting a more wide attention. They get nominated for things at the Game Awards. They appear in Nintendo Directs and PlayStation showcases and Xbox showcases. And there's, maybe they have a bigger publisher with them, or they're under the another, like a Devolver Digital type publisher as well. So the ones that are going to be affected are probably going to be those top level indie developers. And you might be saying, oh, well, I mean, if they're getting that much recognition and that much notoriety, it should be no problem for them to pay a small fee for their indie for the runtime fee. Well, that's where it kind of starts to get muddled. So the fee is about 20 cents per download of the game. Now they already clarified and said that it's per user a 20-cent fee. So if that same user has a Steam Deck or multiple computers or whatever, they only will have one 20-cent fee granted across the user. And that 20-cent fee goes to the indie developer in a lump sum at the end of like a 12-month period or something like that. So starting January 2024, developers will be charged a fee per install compiled via a monthly charge. I apologize. And once the project has crossed 200,000 in the last 2 months, $200,000 and 200,000 lifetime installs, they will start to be charged 20 cents per install. So, and that's in the professional or personal and Unity Plus tier. When you go up more, it's in the millions. So the Unity Pro and the Unity Enterprise tiers, it's $1 million and 1 million lifetime sales in order for them to start getting charged. So games like Pokemon Go, Shining Diamond and Pearl, Death's Door, Hollow Knight, Cuphead, Ori and the Blind Forest, Doom on the Switch. These are games that are going to be using the Unity Pro assets, which they've obviously made more than 1 million sales, I would believe, most of those games, and they've probably been downloaded 1 million or so times. So what does this mean for studios that are going to be essentially going on to Xbox Game Pass and having millions of people accessible to the game? Most games that come to Xbox Game Pass get downloaded like 1 million times within the first couple of days because of the fact that it's a free game, it's a new game, whether the game's been pushed or not doesn't really matter. As long as the game is on Xbox Game Pass, people will download it. And that's that's what Aggro Crab, a small indie developer, asked. And in response, Unity confirmed that it'll be Microsoft who would suffer the financial burden rather than the developer themselves. So if a game is on a Game Pass or other subscription service, developers like Aggro Crab would not be on the hook. The fees are charged to distributors, which in Game Pass example would be Microsoft. Now, that doesn't make much sense to me as a statement. So the publisher is going to be charged the prices for the games being installed. That doesn't make any sense. Like it's all a big crazy whatever kind of thing going on right now. Like it's just a really fucked up situation at the moment. And really, the companies and developers that are going to be harmed are the smaller ones that are like those bigger indie developers and publishers. Those are the ones that are going to be harmed. And let's say obviously, Aggro Crab, in general, they are their own publishing studio. They publish and they develop their games. Or their game. They haven't done it yet, or released it yet. But when another Crab's Treasure comes out, let's say they didn't go to Xbox Game Pass. I'm sure there's still a lot of people who would love to play this Crab Souls-like game that they've been developing. And since they publish their own games, they get charged the fees if it goes over, I don't know which tier they use, but let's just say they're using the Pro tier. It goes over $1 million and 1 million total lifetime installs. Then they get screwed. I mean, small indie developers aren't running off of a huge budget. The publishers and the investors for AAA games fork over millions and millions and millions of dollars. But for indie studios who are running off of their own systems, maybe they're working from a small office or their own homes. Maybe it's like I have another job, but this is like my passion. Like, there's so many different factors that go in here. And, sometimes indie games can just randomly pop off and start to get recognition down the road. I mean, look at Among Us. I mean, that was a game that like for 3 years it was available, and it didn't really get any attention until COVID times came around. But imagine if that was in place back if this was in place back then. Imagine if Inner Sloth, I think is their studio's name. Imagine if they had a million downloads, they made $1 million overnight because of the widely just random success of Among Us. They would be in hot water. I mean, we've seen videos of the people who work at the studio. It's a small studio. A lot of them were working from home throughout the process of developing Among Us, and they're not rich by any means. Most indie developers, they're not rich, and the stigma that indie developers are rich goes down the drain quickly once you see all the different responses that indie developers have had to this new thing that's coming around on January 2024. So if you use the Unity Pro tier, it'll be 15 cents per install, and the more sales you have and installs you have, the less money you have to pay, up to 2 cents. If you use the Enterprise one, it's even less. It starts off at 0.125 cents per install and goes down to 1 cent per install by the time you get to a 1,000,001. But the stupid thing is that if you use the Personal and Unity Plus version, it's 20 cents per install flat rate forever, which is ridiculous. And any install over the $1,000,000 whatever, it goes from 20 cents to 2 cents. So they're gonna really I mean, if they're truly saying the 1,000,000 install threshold is the threshold to start getting charged for things, does that mean that the company also gets charged for 1 through 1,000,000? Once it hits 1,000,001 sales or 1,000,001 installs, do they automatically get charged for what's 20 cents times 1,000,000 or 0.2 times 1,000,000? I actually want to do the math on this. That's actually going to be maybe it's going to be an interesting stat. So 1,000,000, what would it be divided by times 0.2? That'd be $200,000 that they have to, I believe, if my math is correct. Now, it might be wrong, obviously. 2 million, I'm sorry, 1,000,000 times 0.2. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's a lot of money. I mean, think about a smaller game that sells their game for $10 a pop. I mean, that's a good amount of money. Plus, you have to pay your employees, or you have to pay the other people in the group. You have to live. You have to, maybe you own a house or an apartment. Maybe you have an animal, a dog, a pet, a cat. Maybe you're getting the fees from Steam or Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox for putting your game on their systems. Maybe you're working long hours. There's all these different things that factor in, and it's just such a bullshit thing to charge per install it's just kind of ridiculous. It really fucking is. And this chart that Unity released makes 0 sense now that I look at it again, because it's saying that if you install 1 to 100,000 copies of your game, it's 15 cents per install, and then if you do 100,000 to 500,000, 75 cents. It does, or 0.75 cents. It doesn't make any sense, because it says in this first thing, you need to meet the 200,000, or I'm sorry, the 1,000,000 sales and the 1,000,000 install for the Unity Pro tier. But it shows that they're like charging per up until that point. It doesn't make any sense unless the lump sum is going to be lesser because they're charging less and less per. It doesn't make any sense. And of course, the real people who get harmed in this situation are the indie developers who use the Personal and Unity Plus tiers. Those two tiers are meant for the small little man or little woman who is making a game out of their own pocket, whatever. So Those are the people who are getting screwed here. And it's really unfortunate that Unity is doing this, because the real people who are getting harmed are the ones who are doing things with passion, without the overlook of a company forcing them to meet deadlines and stuff like that. And it's just terrible. It's just terrible. So here's a couple of studios that have come out about this change in Unity. Mega Crit, who is behind the hit game Slay the Spire, famously on Unity, says that the team has been hard at work the past 2+ years on a new game, but unlike with Slay the Spire, the engine we have been developing is in Unity. So I was wrong. Slay the Spire was its own its own engine, and then they developed under Unity for their next game. The retroactive pricing structure of runtime fees is not only harmful in the myriad of ways to developers, especially indies, it also is a violation of trust. We believe Unity is fully aware of this, seeing as they have gone so far as to remove their TOS from GitHub, which is where you can download Unity. Despite the immense amount of time and effort our team has already poured into development of the new title, we'll be migrating to a new engine unless the changes are completely reverted and the TOS protections are put back in place. So Unity has already has gone on record saying that any pre-existing, I don't know if contracts is the right word, but if you downloaded Unity before, or if a game came out before these new fees were implemented, it doesn't matter. So games like that I already mentioned, like Death's Door and Slay the Spire, well, I guess not Slay the Spire, but et cetera, they will be subject to the new fees. So if these games already were downloaded a million times, or had already made the money back when they were popular in 2019, 2020, whatever, then yeah, they're going to get a fat bill in the mail, which is crazy to think about. In Exile Entertainment. This is an Xbox game studio which launched Wasteland 2 on the Switch and other platforms back in 2018. They put out a tweet that said, "Hello, yes, we're here to collect money from the game you released 10 years ago," with a gif of Morgan Freeman saying, "Good luck." Which is also funny because, as I already mentioned, like Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pearl, Pokemon Go, Doom on the Switch. Well, I guess not. Doom wasn't. Well, anything that was developed by Nintendo. Yeah, good luck getting money from Nintendo for this. Or Xbox. Like, is Xbox really going to pay these bullshit fees for people downloading stuff on their streaming service? They didn't even develop the games. Why would they pay the fee for an install on their system? And then the list goes on and on. But yeah, it's just fucking stupid. The developers behind Lunistis, aka a Grumpy Fox, is the developer. I believe they released their game back last year, I think. They confirmed that they are going to pull Lunistis from their storefronts on December 31st if the changes are not done by Unity, because Lunistis actually is a pretty big game at the moment, but they would not be able to pay the fees if this Unity thing goes through. They also said they are pausing development on their next upcoming game because they are using the Unity engine. So like I said before, it's just going to add time to development cycles, because Unity is this all-encompassing engine that so many people use. It's very straightforward. It's easy to learn, and so people use Unity because it makes development time go a little bit quicker. But if you have to develop your own engine, which that's just gonna take a lot more time. That's gonna take a lot more time. Twirlbound, they also stepped in about the issue. Pretty much what you would expect. They've been working with Unity for 10 years, building up knowledge and tool sets to create their own colorful open worlds, stretching the limits of what the engine can do. Being knee-deep in the development of their next game, Unity's ridiculous new runtime fee proposal came as a huge blow, rendering our prospects uncertain. That will be the variable cost per install look like. How will this affect our relationship and deal making with platform holders, publishers, bundles, and subscription models to sustain our company? So that's actually a really good point there too. Like, what's going to happen when a Humble Bumble comes out, or a Steam bundle comes out, or Steam puts the game on sale and it gets a bunch of new buyers, or a subscription service puts their game on there. Obviously, they would have to say, "Okay, do this." But now, because apparently the subscription service holder, like Xbox Game Pass, is going to need to pay those fees, how willing will they be to just pick up a game like what an indie studio might be working on, you know? Like, that's also damaging to the relationship between indie developers and these big giant streaming services. Crema, who created Temtem. This is also another Unity made game, kind of like a Pokemon game, except you use cards and stuff like that. They've been using Unity also for 10 plus years, and it has played a significant role in almost all of their games. However, the recent developments concerning the installation runtime have become a tipping point for them. Ever since Unity went public, and with the change in leadership under the new CEO, it's been a downhill journey. Each announcement seems to be worse than the previous ones, while the engine itself has been lacking in both polish and capability. So that's also another big thing, is that the company itself went public, and a bunch of people bought stock in the company. Recently, over the past year or so, these people who invested in Unity have been selling their stocks. And actually, the day before this came out, I think the CEO at the time, he did actually sell a ton of shares knowing that this was coming out. And I think that is technically illegal. I think Yuji Naka got knocked for that. But yeah, another, and they're also citing how the TOS is now gone. The TOS for using Unity is now officially, it's just gone. It's not been re-upped. And then Aggro Crab, one of my favorite indie developers, because they just have such a lovely presence on social media. They have a really funny shirt that I bought, and their game looks incredible. They said, "Hey gamers, today Unity, the engine we use to make our games, announced that they'll soon be taking a fee from developers for every copy of the game installed over a certain threshold, regardless of how the copy was obtained." Guess who has a somewhat highly anticipated game coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2024? That's right, us. That means another Crab's Treasure will be free to install for 25 million Game Pass subscribers. Of course, not everyone's going to install the game, but that's still a pretty hefty size of 25 million people using Game Pass. If a fraction of those users download our game, Unity could take a fee that puts an enormous dent in our income and threatens the sustainability of our business. And that's before we even think about the sales on other platforms or pirated installs of the game, or even multiple installs on the same user, which that's already been clarified. This decision puts us and countless other studios in a position where we might not be able to justify using Unity for our future titles. If these charges aren't rolled back, we'll be heavily considering abandoning our wealth of Unity expertise we've accumulated over the years and starting from scratch in a new game engine, which is really something we would rather not do. On behalf of the community, we're calling on Unity to reverse the latest in the string of short-sighted decisions that seem to prioritize shareholders over their product's actual users. I fucking hate it here. That's the big slogan for them right now. Rose City Games, which they recently released Floppy Nights last year, also came in and said that Unity is being shitty. Massive Monster, who worked on Cult of the Lamb, they said that Unity is introducing a runtime fee based on installs. Our team specializes in Unity games. So what's the impact on us? Will we have future projects in the pipeline that were initially planned to develop in Unity and could result in us being charged? And of course, developing in a different engine or building their own engine will require a new set of skills. So, and also, like, the people having to learn new engines and stuff and build new engines, like, yeah, you're gonna have to pay them a bit more now. So this is also denting that as well. And yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of other ones. Like, it's just, and there's also a bunch of people who are, influencers and stuff like that, talking out about this stuff. So, I think that this is also a pretty interesting thing. On Twitter, you can actually add context to things. Specific users on Twitter can add context. And it says that Unity states that only 10% of their customers will be affected, making it sound less bad than it is. But as of a gaming report in 2022, Unity has 230,000 developers, which is around 23,000 developers affected by this change. Lots of studios have posted statements about moving engines. So that's a good chunk of studios right there. And as I already said before, but I will say it again, games developed under PlayStation with Unity or under Nintendo with Unity or Xbox with Unity, how are they going to get the money from them? Because they're not going to stand for this. Like the bigger developers, once they get those bills in the mail, are definitely going to shit themselves and say, "Hey, what the fuck is this?" And even Jeff Keighley came out and said, "This is bad." So there you go. We haven't heard anything from like the big wigs at the big AAA studios, but I'm sure only time will tell. And to cap off this shit Sunday, an employee inside of Unity threatened, did some sort of bomb threat, which caused the Unity to cancel a town hall meeting, and also close multiple offices. The CEO said that there was a credible death threat that was I guess posted on social media. People say that, or people claim that it was a employee of the company inside of Unity. And of course, like, yeah, what they're doing is bad. Don't get me wrong. But violence is not going to be the answer, especially threats and stuff like that. That's not going to be the answer to anything. You got to boycott the service. You got to, at this moment, Unity is probably not going to do anything until the bigger studios start stepping in. And until then, they're going to probably go forward with what they're doing. And one way to hurt Unity is not in our hands, the person buying the game, but it's in the developers' in the developers' hands, the indie studios and stuff like that, which is terrible because they are the ones being affected the most by this. The AAA studios, they can probably live on. They can probably create their own engines or use different engines. But the indie studios are going to be the ones that are really sorely hurting from this, and it's sad to see, and it's not a good look for Unity and for the gaming world as a whole. So we'll see what happens with this. I'll, of course, keep you guys updated as more and more happens. But as of right now, on the 17th of September, that is the final word from Unity. All right, let's move on to the actual first part of the show, which is what was announced at that game showcase. All right, there was a Nintendo Direct on the 14th of September. It was pretty good. It started off with some Splatoon 3 DLC called the Side Order. Visually, it looks really cool. It's like got this white aesthetic and like machine aesthetic to it. I didn't really play too much of Splatoon 3. Did I say 2 before? I meant 3. Splatoon 3. I didn't really play too much of Splatoon 3. I didn't really enjoy the story mode, and I thought the multiplayer was fun, but it wasn't something that I was gonna, it's not something that I would play a lot. So I didn't really get around to playing too much more of it after my initial thoughts on it. But yeah, DLC coming this way. It's coming next spring, the DLC. After that, they revealed that Mario vs. Donkey Kong is coming around. I'm not sure if it's a complete remaster of the GBA title, or if it's like a inspired by or whatever. But yeah, essentially this is like a platformer game. You play as Mario. And what you do is you have like these little puzzle areas that you solve with buttons and keys and stuff like that. And of course you try and get to the door, and eventually you try and get to Donkey Kong himself and beat him up. And I played one of these games on the DS back in the day, and I don't exactly remember which one it was because that was quite a long time ago. But I had fun with it. And I think this is gonna be kind of a fun game. I like the graphical style. It's something that you don't really see nowadays. It's one of those games. It's kind of like it's a little bit old school. You don't really see these kind of things too often. So if it is a remaster, I apologize. I'm not well versed in that. But the original titles for this series were on the GPA. So it's kind of weird that they wouldn't just put the GBA games onto the expansion pass service, but maybe they will. Maybe once this game comes out, they will do that. We'll see. Prince of Persia had another showing at the Nintendo Direct. It looks good. I mean, it looks great, I should say. It really does. And if this is actual gameplay running on the Switch, it's also going to look pretty good in 2. Horizon Chase 2. Horizon Chase 1 has been around for quite some time. It's been free on multiple platforms, but the funny thing is I've never played it. I have it on like 3 different platforms. I've got it for free for on 3 different platforms. And yeah, I've never really played it, but it's a fast-paced multiplayer racing game. And the second game is coming out, and it's actually out right now if you want to check that out. It looks like there's some frame rate issues. I don't know if it's just the video or the stream that I'm watching, but yeah, it definitely had some frame rate issues at some points. So hopefully that's smoothed out in the actual release. I believe it also came to other platforms as well on the same day. Super Crazy Rhythm Castle officially is coming November 14th. This is a game where you time your button presses with the music to solve puzzles and battle bosses while rocking out to over 30 thrilling tracks, including 4 songs from Konami games. So that's pretty cool. I always love a good rhythm kind of game. This one also seems to have some like party elements to it as well. I might actually pick this up when it comes around. 14th of November, Super Crazy Rhythm Castle. Spy X Anya Operation Memories is coming in 2024. This is it's got like that anime aesthetic kind of vibe to it. It seems to be a mostly narrative adventure, if I'm not mistaken. But essentially you play as this like child who is solving a mystery or something like that. Not really well versed in whatever this is, but there you go. Super Mario RPG reconfirmed that's coming the 17th of November, and they showed off way more about the game, the updated visuals, new action commands, and a new, I think there's like a boss rush mode now. I think they've added some things to the mix, which is really nice. And yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good. I never got to play this myself back in the day, but I think this would be a good version to try out if you want to. Another Code Recollection is a remake of 2 cult classics coming to the Switch next year in 2024. The second game in this series never was translated to English before this, so that's actually pretty big for people who enjoyed the first game but never got to play the second one. I never played either, or well, I guess I never played the first one anyway, so not really too much there. But it looks like it's a mystery kind of game, puzzle kind of game. Not too bad. Princess Peach, the video game that's based around Princess Peach, finally has a title, and it also showed off a good amount of gameplay and gameplay mechanics. Princess Peach Showtime is what it's going to be called. Essentially, you play as Princess Peach on several different stages, and each stage has like a unique Princess Peach outfit. So one of them is like a sword fighter Peach. Another one is the mystery solver Peach. She's like a detective. I guess it's called Detective Peach. There's also Kung Fu Peach. So yeah, I mean, I think that this game is going to incorporate a few different gameplay styles into it, which is what I'm kind of getting a vibe from the presentation here. Like the Detective Peach is going to be more of a sleuthing mystery kind of thing. Kung Fu Peach is going to be more of like a action-packed button prompts kind of thing. Sword Fighting Peach is going to be more of like a side-scrolling beat-em-up kind of thing. So yeah, I guess we'll see more about this as we get closer to its release date, but it's coming to March 22nd next year, so it does have an official release date now. Saga Emerald Beyond. This is another like anime aesthetic kind of game. This is a standalone entry of the Saga French franchise, brings together the very best elements of the beloved series to offer each player their own unique gameplay experience. As players venture across 17 mysterious worlds, they will forge their own unique branching stories that unfold based on their very own choices and actions. So this comes out in 2024. Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remastered is coming the 14th of February next year. This is a remastering of the original trilogy of Tomb Raider games. Visually, I mean, they definitely updated Lara Croft's model, like her model and the enemies models in the games. But there's also a lot here that kind of still looks very reminiscent of like the PS1 days, which honestly, it's kind of a vibe, but it's also kind of not a vibe at times because it's like, well, if it's going to be remastered or you're charging a price for remastering the game, why does this section look so bad? Or why does this section still look like the original? Or why does this look like that? And even though I think it would be nice to play these games with updated controls, I tried playing some on Steam and it was just kind of unbearable. So I'll probably be checking these out simply because I do want to play through the original Tomb Raider games eventually, and this is the best way to do that, especially if they have updated controls. Detective Pikachu, Detective Pikachu Returns, which is coming the 6th of October, had a showing at the showcase. And yeah, I mean, it still doesn't look that great. It kind of does look like a upres 3DS game that they ported over to the Switch still. Especially like you look at some of these things that there's like jagged edges and stuff like that. It's just so weird looking at times. I'm sure the game will be fine. I'm not saying it's going to be bad or anything like that. I just, there's some things that concern me about the trailers and stuff that we've seen about this game. But like I said, I'm sure it'll be good. I'm sure if you're a fan of Detective Pikachu, you're going to have a good time with it. So if you want to check that out, October 6th is the day for that. Trombone Champ is actually out right now on the Switch. This is the game that came out last year that, it had a lot of, it was an indie darling kind of game, and it didn't really get too much pop and circumstance at the Game Awards or anything later down the year for some reason. But it's finally coming to Switch with gyro controls. So the game is kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like, or you could also use the IR sensor to do your trombone stuff too. It's one of those games where you move your mouse up and down to hit the notes and you press a button to breathe and stuff like that. And there's a whole bunch of different songs that you can do. It's a very fun game. It's a very charming game too. So if you want to check that out, it's available right now. Battle Crush. I believe this is a top-down, like League of Legends type game where you play as different Greek maybe not Greek. Yeah, maybe no Greek. Is it Greek? Poseidon. Is Poseidon Greek? I think Poseidon's Greek. So different Greek gods and deities and stuff like that. Looks fine. I mean, if you like Pokemon Unite or League of Legends, this might be a game you want to check out. And that's coming in spring of 2024. War Tales. This is another shadow dropped game. It came out the same day as the Nintendo Direct. This is a top-down adventure game. I believe there's turn-based combat in there as well. Visually, not like the most interesting game ever, but I think it does have a niche that it's trying to satisfy. If you want to check that out, it's a turn-based RPG. Contra Operation Galuga is coming in early 2024. I mean, everyone knows what Contra is. It's the side-scrolling bullet hell kind of game. This one definitely doesn't look as hardcore as those original Contra games, but I'm sure that there will be some challenging sections in this. That original Contra game, it's kind of like Metal Slug in a way where it's like, oh, it's just designed to eat your quarters essentially. So this one's maybe is going to be a little bit more geared towards like actually being a video game, but I guess we'll find out. Unicorn Overlord is coming the 8th of March 2024. This is a kind of kooky game. It has like a Octopath Traveler style graphic style here, and it's essentially almost like Octopath Traveler or other turn-based RPGs in a way where maybe more like Fire Emblem, where you move your characters along a plane and then fight the different characters in little quick time battles or turn-based battles. So I think graphically it looks very like visually stunning, especially when you go into a battle. But, it doesn't look like it's going to do anything too different from what we already have seen before. But still, if you want to check that out, Unicorn Overlord, March 8th. The Luigi's Mansion 2 re-release, I guess you could call it, finally has a name, and that is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. They completely tore off the subtitle for the game for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean the visuals. Once again, it looks like a 3DS game being ported to the Switch, so it's not bad, but there's some jagged edges here or there that you see that are kind of like, okay, that's kind of weird. Why are they doing this game in summer or releasing this game in summer next year? Who knows? Maybe just to fill out some slates later on. I don't know. They also confirmed that the multiplayer mode will be back which is nice. The Nintendo Museum. This is not a game, but there's a museum that's being built, and it's supposed to be ready to go in March of 2024. Maybe this is where the Golf War Nintendo Game Boy is heading, to this museum. But this is just going to be a museum celebrating Nintendo's history. After that, the Zelda and Ganondorf amiibos finally got release dates. They're going to be coming on November 3rd. Right after that, they revealed that the Sora amiibo, the final amiibo for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, is coming in next year in 2024. And they also revealed that amiibo for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 are coming on the 19th of January 2024. You'll be able to purchase Noah and Mio if you would like. These two amiibo unlock outfits: the Console's Ends armor for Noah and the Leisure Time outfit for Noah, Lance, and Uni. Bandle a League of Legends story. Okay, so there's two League of Legends stories in a row here. One of them is for Bandle. I guess that's a character in League of Legends. It's a pixel art adventure, kind of like a top-down perspective. Kind of looks like a slice of life kind of game. Not really sure what they're going for here. And then a Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story. This is going to be a bit different from that last one. It's more of like a side-scrolling. Well, maybe not side-scrolling, but there's side-scrolling elements, some behind-the-back elements. Seems to be a story-driven kind of adventure game. Doesn't look too bad, all things considered. WarWare Move It had a trailer for this direct, and of course, they showed off the different controls for the game, the different poses you'll be going into. They also revealed that one of the poses is going to use the IR sensor on the Nintendo Switch, something that has been a part of the Joy-Con controller since the beginning of the freaking console, and it's only been used on like 13 games leading up to this Nintendo Direct, which is crazy because it jacks the price up of controllers so much. But anyway, looks fun. I'm excited for this. I know not everyone's going to be excited for a WarioWare game, but I'm excited for this, especially because it's very Smooth Moves-esque, and I think that's what they're going for. Or maybe that's what they confirmed I was going for last time I talked about it. Anyway, looks fun. That's coming November 3rd still. Euden Chronicle, 100 of Heroes. This is coming the 23rd of April, 2024. It's another like pixel art kind of JRPG kind of game. Looks fine. I don't know what to say. Looks fine. Eastward is getting some DLC called Octopia. This is coming in winter of 2023. If you've played Eastward, you'll probably know what this is going to be all about. I did not get to play Eastward, but apparently it's a farm sim DLC for the game. So I guess you'll be managing a farm full of colorful and cuddly creatures. Wargroove 2 announced this release date. It's coming the 5th of October 2023. The first Wargroove was pretty good. It's very similar to Advanced Wars in a lot of different ways. And it looks like, as we've already talked about before, Wargroove 2 is pulling in more factions, more crazy characters, more interesting storylines, and you get supercharged moves now. So there's super powerful forms of the different commanders. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. I like the vibe of that. Dave the Diver. Of course, I talked about this game a couple episodes ago now. It's actually coming to Nintendo Switch. It's coming to Nintendo Switch before any other console, I believe. This is like a roguelite game almost, where you go underwater and you fish, and you collect the fish and then serve them as sushi in your restaurant. So it's kind of half roguelite, half management kind of game, and it's all good. So if you want to check that out, that'll be available on the 26th of October for Switch. The next wave of Mario Kart courses, and I believe the final wave of Mario Kart courses, have gotten a bit of a teaser. A bunch of new characters are actually coming to the game, more than I was expecting. I was expecting like maybe one or two to be coming in this final update, but they're going to be adding Diddy Kong, W, Funky Kong, W, Pauline, W, and Peachette. And they will all be included in Wave 6 of the... that's coming in winter. It's coming in winter. They also showed off one of the courses that are going to be coming. I believe it's a Wii game course, and that is called Daisy Circuit. Daisy Circuit is coming around, which I never played. Oh, they also No, they didn't. Okay. They're just showing off the different characters right now. I saw Mario Kart Tour on the edge. I'm like, wait, another Mario Kart Tour map? But anyway, Daisy Circuit is the only confirmed course right now, but they did confirm all of those characters. Um, and then also on October 6th, there's going to be some sort of like, I don't know if this is like a collector's edition or whatever. No, wait, this is just a code for the DLC, all the DLC waves in total. They're going to be hanging this in store shelves. It comes with a code for the DLC, 4 pins, one of Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach riding their respective vehicles. It looks like 6 cards and 4 stickers, which, okay, if that's what you want to do. This wasn't in the Nintendo Direct. I believe this was after the Direct, or maybe it was in the Direct. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, adding in all these new characters is great. And also, I mean, Daisy's Circus should be pretty cool. So we'll see how that is. But yeah, it looks like we have to wait a little bit longer to see what other whatever courses are coming. Among Us. This was the second to last thing. Among Us had a trailer for their new map called the Fungal, which is, I don't know, kind of crazy. I mean, it starts off and it's like, okay, why are we seeing Among Us? Blah, 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 blah. Looks like there might be a new game mode or something, but instead, it's just a new map. So nothing too crazy. And I don't know if people really care that much about Among Us anymore to have it be like one of the last things you show off in a Nintendo Direct. But, you know, it's nice that they're still working on the game and bringing new things to it. So that's always nice. And this is coming in October, the new map. And finally, the big reveal at the end of the show was Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door. Remastered, essentially. They did not call it remastered, but it is remastered. The graphics look much better in the game. And it looks like they added some new character animations as well when they're talking, which is also big. And yeah, I mean, the Thousand Year Door, it's a great game. It's one of the best that the GameCube has to offer, and the Paper Mario series in general has to offer. They hinted at maybe some new content coming to the game as well at the very end, which might just be, I mean, it's Peach asking if the robot that she talks throughout the game is in love with her, and the robot's like, Peach, will you teach me how to feel the things you call love? So I'm wondering if it's going to be like an NSFW, like, you know, the robot bangs Peach. Kidding. This is coming in 2024. Pretty cool indeed. But that was like the big reveal of the show. So in general, I thought it was like a B- kind of direct. Like, there was a good amount of stuff in here, sure, that I liked, but not everything. Like, there wasn't really that much that really got me excited. The Mario versus Donkey Kong was pretty cool. Seeing more of Mario RPG, the Tomb Raider remasters, of course, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door was great, a great reveal. But you know, there really wasn't much else that I really. And the Princess Peach game, of course, the Princess Peach game looked really good too. So it wasn't really too much in there, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. So that's why I'm giving it a B-. Moving right along, there was a state of play on the same day, just a couple hours apart. I don't know if Sony intentionally did this or not, but yeah, they revealed a whole bunch of stuff here. Let me go through that. So of course, we saw stuff for some of the bigger things coming to the PlayStation. But it started off with Baby Steps, which was the game that is kind of like QWOP, developed by the same guy who did Getting Over It. And I mean, yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's not like a visually impressive game or anything like that. I don't know why they're showing this off at a state of play, other than the fact that, you know, this guy is pretty famous for his crazy, absurd kind of games. Like one of the first puzzles they showed is getting over like 2 steps, and like the person like has to retry a couple times. So yeah, Baby Steps. I don't believe there's a release date for it just yet, but that is coming soon across the board here. This might be a little bit out of order. I don't exactly remember the order of the games that were shown off. Helldivers 2 had a pretty good showing here. It wasn't like too long or anything like that, but it showed off like the map that you're going to explore, the co-op missions you're going to go into. I think that visually it looks great. It kind of reminds me of Earth Defense Force, just on crack. pretty much. I'm very interested in this. This is coming in February of 2024. If you want to check out that trailer, of course, head over to PlayStation's YouTube channel. It looks really good. Definitely really enjoy the look of this game and how it's playing in these showcases. Looks like there's at least 4 different classes to choose from with different and unique abilities. So looks really good. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. They showed off a little bit more about this, including some gameplay. And I think that the first-person perspective was a big L on the part of this game. I mean, half of the reason that people love Avatar is for these blue characters that everyone loves, and there's a whole bunch of first-person segments that they show off, and it's like a first-person shooter at some point because you are like trained by the Marines or whatever, and yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of looking weird, and that's coming December 7th still this year, if you want to check that out. Ghost Runner 2. They showed off a little bit of this game. I mean, looks visually even more impressive than the first one, which is kind of crazy to think about because the first one looks so good. They also revealed that there is a demo available right now on the PS5 if you want to check that out, and I guarantee that it will be pretty good. I really loved the first game, so we'll see how that one goes. Foam Stars is getting an open beta later this month. So Foam Stars is like the Splatoon, I don't know if I would call it, I guess it is a ripoff kind of, but essentially you use foam instead of paint, and you can actually build towers and stuff like that with your paint. There's a whole bunch of characters that you can use, and there is an open beta coming later this month in September, on September 29th through October 1st, if you want to check that out. Roblox is coming to PS4 and PS5. You'll be able to download the game on the 10th of October. I don't know if Roblox has come to other platforms before this. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, it's about time it comes around to a platform like the PlayStation. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to play it, but if you're excited, there you go. Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord. This is a VR game coming just in time for Halloween. Essentially, what you do is just as you might do with any Ghostbusters property, is you capture ghosts, and you work up with 4 other people to capture these ghosts. It looks like there's like a big villain at some point. There's like the Marshmallow Mans are coming around. Anyway, that comes out October 26th. Looks pretty good for a PSVR 2 game. Looks excellent, actually. Honkai Star Rail. I'm not sure what this is. This is a it's kind of like, it kind of has like the Genshin Impact kind of graphic style, I would say. But it looks like it's a turn-based battler. So if you want to check that out, that's coming October 11th this year. Tales of Arise. A new Tales of Arise game is coming called Beyond the Dawn expansion. Oh, it's an expansion for Tales of Arise. So this is an expansion for Tales of Arise, which originally released in 2021. It's an action RPG, and the DLC announcement is a bit of a surprise because Bandai Namco previously stated that Tales of Arise wouldn't be getting any significant DLC or a sequel. So I guess this is pretty big. Did they announce when it was coming? No, they're just saying that it's coming eventually. Oh, no, I'm sorry. November 9th, 2023. I missed that in the trailer. November 9th. It's coming November 9th. There is a new collection of skins for your PlayStation controllers and your PlayStation console itself coming around. We have the Deep Earth Collection, which is 3 chromatic colors: volcanic red, cobalt blue, and sterling silver. Both can be pre-ordered. Both the controller and plates can be pre-ordered on October 4th, and the release date is on the 26th of January, if you want to check those out. I don't really like any of these colors, and maybe the sterling silver looks okay, but yeah, not my thing there. Resident Evil 4, the Separate Ways DLC is coming around. I believe this is going to be a free DLC for the game. No, I'm sorry, it's going to cost $9.99 to add this to the game. I believe Separate Ways was in the original game too, so it's weird that they're charging extra for something that was in the original game, but this one's all based around Ada Wong and what she was doing while Leon was off on his adventures. And then the VR2 mode, I'm sorry, the PSVR2 mode, it will be free to people who own the game. I don't think they revealed when it was coming, though. I think it's, maybe it's coming the 21st of September? Or Separate Ways is coming the 21st of September? Yeah, Separate Ways is coming the 21st of September. I'm not sure when the VR game is coming out. Maybe the same day. I'm not sure. Spider-Man 2 had a nice trailer, and of course there was a whole press day for the game. So I'll be talking about it a little bit more later. But they pretty much just showed off the map and the new traversal techniques. The map has doubled in size. They've added 2 new boroughs to the New York map, along with other landmark locations for Peter and Miles. They showed off some of the combat, and visually the game looks stunning. They showed off a new way to see your missions on the map and stuff like that. They also revealed that there are some missions for Miles, some missions for Peter, but they will be interchangeable throughout most of the game, allowing you to switch on the fly pretty much in a couple of seconds with the power of the PlayStation 5 SSD. But yeah, it looks really good. The one thing that kind of surprises me is they show Peter fighting with his regular suit and the mechanical spider arms. And now, as we all know from the other trailers, Peter is infected with the Venom symbiote in some way. We don't know how yet, but in some way. And he also has like tentacle powers and stuff like that. So I feel like it's kind of a spoiler to show that he's using the mechanical arms, meaning that he's probably either going to A, start the game without the Venom stuff, which is, likely, or B, and more likely, is that the Venom stuff is only going to be a portion of the game, maybe the final part of the game. Or it's going to be just the opening of the game, and then Peter, gets it off of him after some debacle. I don't like that they showed the spider legs. The spider legs kind of, in a way, it is kind of a little bit of a spoiler to show the spider legs instead of the Venom stuff. If they just showed him in the Venom costume, that would leave the mystery a little bit more. Like, are we going to be playing as Venom, or are we going to have the Venom powers for the entire game? No, it looks like after the main story or a part of the story, you turn back into normal Peter and you have the mechanical legs instead of the Venom powers. Which also begs the question, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, are we going to be playing as Venom in this game? Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. And finally, Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth had a release date announcement. They also had a trailer for the game as well. They also revealed the collector's edition, which comes with a statue of Sephiroth. But the game's coming February 29th, 2024. Honestly, it looks the same as Final Fantasy VII Remake, which obviously looked good anyway. I'm not knocking the game for looking the same as Final Fantasy VII Remake. It looked fine. The original game looked great too. But it looks like it's gonna be more of the same. Which obviously, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII Remake, you're gonna like this. But as a person who did not like Final Fantasy VII Remake, this is probably not going to be my jam, which is why I'm not going to be picking it up. But if you want to, there you go. Also, they revealed that the game is coming on 2 discs. So there you go. What else is coming in February? Tekken 8. So it's going to be battling Tekken 8 in February. And also Persona 3 Reloaded, but I don't know if that really... that's just a remake, so yeah, whatever. Anyway, I thought this was a really good showcase. B+, a little bit better than the State of Play. I wish there was a little bit more shown off about some of the games in here, but other than that, pretty good. I know I gave it an A in the Discord, but I've kind of come down on it a little bit, but it was a good show. I liked it. They did a good job. Boom, bada, bing. We're done here. Let's move on to... What have I been playing? Let's move on to the final review, and this time we're reviewing the many pieces of Mr. Q. Let's get into that right meow. The Many Pieces of Mr. Q, which came out earlier this past week, is a point-and-click adventure game with a very unique art style, hand-drawn animations across the board for the different characters and things that you interact with in the game. It also has some picturesque backgrounds, almost like I Spy in a way, where you can kind of jump around and move around the environment that is... real world stuff, but there's animated stuff over top of it. The Many Pieces of Mr. Q starts off pretty basic. You're just kind of learning the ropes of the game, clicking on things pretty much. And the first couple of puzzles are pretty interesting. It is mostly a puzzle game, so you're going to be solving various puzzles with Mr. Q, and the Many Pieces of Mr. Q doesn't really start to have the pieces part of this until the end of the game, which is quite weird in my opinion. So the game is a bit short, and that was a little bit disappointing for me because I was really into this for a little while, and I think the game. I know it's setting itself up for like some sort of sequel or add-on at the end of it all, but the main course of the game is just not. I don't know. It's just like it's fine, but it doesn't do enough. It really doesn't. Like a lot of even though there's some puzzles that are intricately designed, you're not gonna have that much trouble getting around it. Like there's some obscure things you have to do here or there, which is par for the course in any point and click adventure game. But it's like the puzzles aren't in depth enough to cause me to say like, oh yeah, you gotta play this. If you're a point and click adventure fan, if you're a fan of crazy and like I don't I honestly couldn't recommend this one to most people. I think that there's some good ideas going on here, but the really good ideas that the game does have don't show up until the end, and then even then it's not fully utilized because what happens in the Many Pieces of Mr. Q? Well, he gets cut into three different pieces, but that happens more than halfway through the game. And the final part of the game is essentially you as the head of Mr. Q going around and trying to collect the other two pieces of your body. And by the time you get the third piece of your body, the game is practically over, which is very disappointing in a lot and for many different reasons. One of them being that it would have been really fun to do more puzzle solving with the three different parts separated for Mr. Q. Some of the most fun I had in this game was being just the head or the legs, and you can switch between the two and do different puzzles with each part of your body. That was the most fun I had with the game. But unfortunately, it only lasted for maybe about 10 or 15 minutes while I solved different puzzles, and then the game eventually gave you the third piece of Mr. Q. But at that time, like I said before, that's pretty much the end, and that is really unfortunate because it was really starting to ramp up and give me something to recommend the game for. But in the end, it was just too short and it just did not give me the full experience that I was really hoping for, unfortunately. The animation is beautiful. I think the hand-drawn art is amazing, especially the different animations for when Mr. Q is doing things. There's plenty of different characters that you meet that have these wacky and crazy designs, and they're also very well animated. One of my favorites being like this demon guy who's like riding a bicycle. Like the animation on him is so smooth and so fluid. I just love the way that it looks. And yeah, like the different puzzle elements are also really like there's some really fun stuff in there. I mean, there's a puzzle where you have to like you're riding on top of like a baby chick, and Mr. Q is like running around in the background, so you have to kind of do things in order to get him to grab things while he's passing by and stuff like that. And I thought that was a pretty fun section of the game. And of course, the ending puzzle was pretty well done with the switching between the head and the legs. But like I said, I just wanted more. I wanted more out of this game. And I know that there's probably going to be a second game or maybe an expansion or a DLC coming for this one, which is what they set up for at the end. But for being a game that's about I think it's like $20. I mean, did I get my money's worth out of it? I don't know. I don't like to judge games based on that, but it really did feel like I was kind of getting skimped out here, honestly. Which is another reason why I really couldn't recommend this one. The music's great. The music's good in the game. And as I've said before, the animations are fantastic, but there's not there's not enough going on in this game to really fully recommend it. And even though there's a lot of charm and I'm sure there's a lot of passion put into this game, I'm sure it took a while to animate all the things and make sure everything was working fine. But yeah, it's just not an amazing experience like I was really hoping it to be. And also, I had a lot of technical issues in this game. I had to restart the game a couple times. I ran into a bug where if you have a controller plugged into your computer, that you have to use the controller. You can't use the mouse if a controller is plugged in, which is really weird. So I had to unplug my controller. That was the solution to that, which wasn't too bad, all things considered. But There were other points where Mr. Koo would get stuck in an animation, or he wouldn't move. I couldn't get him to move, or there was one point where the legs were sitting on a chair, and no matter where I clicked on the screen, I couldn't get it to move, and I had to redo an entire like 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay because the legs got stuck. Or there was a section where I just I thought that I was doing something wrong, but there was only like three things to click on in the area, and none of the things were making sense, and I couldn't get the story to progress. I could move Mr. Koo around anywhere that I wanted to, but unfortunately, I had to restart the game because it bugged out. It wouldn't let me click on the fourth thing that I needed to click on to actually advance the plot of the game. And that's also very disappointing for a game like this. I know that game development is difficult, and I know that there's going to be bugs and stuff like that that are unforeseeable. But there is a threshold that I am not willing to give any leniency for, and Mr. Koo kind of goes past that threshold. Just like Jedi Survivor and other games that came out this year, like Redfall and stuff like that, that had technical issues up the wazoo. I cannot give Mr. Koo a pass simply because it is an indie game. I can't give it a pass because there's just so many technical issues. If it was just one time, sure, maybe I'd mention it on the podcast and move past it and be like, it was the only thing that happened. But I had a lot of technical issues in this game, and it's just kind of disappointing. It is a little bit disappointing to have such a broken experience. And there was one point where I was considering getting a refund for this game, simply because it was that moment where I couldn't get my mouse to work because my controller was plugged in, and I was about to message like Steam help, and I was about to get a refund because I'm like, the game's broken. I can't do anything in the game. I restarted it like 3 times now. And eventually I ended up like, I like moved my hand towards where my controller is to grab something, and I hit my joystick, and that's when the arrow moved, or the pointer on the screen moved, and that's when I was like, oh shit, that's the issue. So I didn't end up refunding the game, but I was pretty close. I was pretty close. Look, if you're a fan of point and click adventure games, this one definitely has potential, but it just doesn't reach that potential. And for me to recommend this one would be dishonest to me, because I really don't recommend this one. Do I love indie developers? Yes, I love indie developers. I love the vibe that this game is going for, but unfortunately, this one just doesn't hit the mark in many different places. In the end, I gave it a 3 out of 5, which is just kind of average. I wish if there wasn't so many technical problems, it would probably be like a 3.5. So that goes to show how much other things were kind of bugging me during my playthrough. But I think the thing that really holds this game up is the graphical style, the different animations, and of course the music in the game is very pleasant to listen to as well. But unfortunately, the game just doesn't hit the highs that I was hoping it would. Maybe the sequel will do that. Maybe this was just a taste test and the sequel is coming, or an expansion is coming that's going to really show the power of Mr. Koo and his many different pieces. But as it stands, the title of the game is a little bit misleading because you don't really get the many pieces of Mr. Koo until the end. And also, it's just the price tag is a little bit misleading too. It's not really a full fleshed out experience. It is just like a taste of the game, what it has to offer. So in the end, the many pieces of Mr. Koo, it's a 3 out of 5. It's not a recommendation from me, and I definitely will probably not be talking about this game again on the podcast. And that was the final review. Thank you for listening. All right, now, what have I been playing this past week? Also, thank you to everyone who listened to the Goodbye Volcano High segment that I stitched out last time, the final review for Goodbye Volcano High. I ended up really liking the game more than I was expecting, especially after that initial first thoughts that I had. So if you want to check that out, I appreciate that. I think it's got over 100 views now, which is great. I love that. Love to see it. I know that there's a lot of people who probably see a game like Goodbye Volcano High and go, cringe, whatever. But sometimes you just got to give things a chance that's out of your comfort zone. Like, I like narrative adventures that are like Telltale kind of games and stuff like that. But this is definitely a unique flavor of those kind of games. And obviously, if you are more of like a boom shooty kind of person who doesn't really like, who really plays like mostly first person shooters or Fortnite or something like that, obviously I'm not going to recommend the movie to someone like you or a lot of people. I would say I would not recommend the game to, but to me, I mean, as someone who plays a lot of different genres, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot, and it hit harder than I thought it was going to hit. So take that with what you will. If you want to listen to my full thoughts, swing by the final review on the YouTube channel. which came out last week, or you can just listen to the last episode of Fair 64. But let's go ahead and jump into what I've been playing this past week. And to start it off, F-Zero 99. And you might be scratching your head going, Yemmy, why didn't you say anything about this game during the Nintendo Direct? Why didn't you say anything about it? You didn't say anything about F-Zero 99. That's because I'm talking about it right now. I'm talking about right here, right now. Right here, right now. And F-Zero 99, it's another game in the quote-unquote 99 series. We had Tetris, Pac-Man, and of course Mario 35, which is pretty much just 99, but on a smaller scale. And F-Zero 99 is the next one in the line of 99 games to come out. And this one is actually really fun. If you like the arcade racing style of F-Zero, and you like how you like the basics of that franchise, you're gonna really like this. And it's free to play, so you don't have to worry about paying a price to get it or anything like that. And essentially, it's just you race with 90 or 98 other players on a track, a selected track, anything from the Big Blue to I can't remember the names of them right now, but there was Mute City. Mute City is one of them. Of course, there's plenty of different. There's a couple different tracks to choose from. I would say plenty because the game is so quick, but in the end, there is like 4 or 5 different tracks with a couple variations in there, which isn't bad because you are like the races are pretty fast. There's 3 laps on most of them, and they go by pretty quickly. But the thing about this game is you play with the 98 other people, and you bump into other people and they generate sparks, and you get a boost meter for that. No, they generate sparks and it builds up to a super boost. There is a normal boost in this game, which is actually your health, which is one of those unique things about F-Zero is your boost meter is also your health meter. So if you boost too much, you could get hit once and die. Or if you don't boost at all, sure, you're going to be a little bit farther behind, but you'll be safe from when someone hits you, or if you hit one of the big like metal AI controlled vehicles. Some of those vehicles, if you hit them, they do massive damage. Some of them give you extra sparks if they're golden, which is nice, especially if you're farther behind. But yeah, essentially you collect those sparks, and then you go to like the super boost, which appears above the track, and it pretty much automatically controls your little racer, and it boosts you ahead of some people. And of course, everyone can do this, so it's a very equal kind of game, as opposed to like Tetris 99, Mario 35, Pac-Man 99. There's not really a randomness factor to F-Zero. Rather, other than just like bumping into people and they send you in chaotic different places, this one is very like it has some great equalizers in it. One, the boost being also your health. That's a great equalizer. Having the sparks pop out is a great equalizer. Everyone can get sparks. Even the person in first place can grab sparks if they want to. So there is a lot of equal footing here. And in a lot of Nintendo games like the 99 series, anyone can win if you get a little bit luck. This one though does seem to be a very much geared towards skill-based racing. The highest rank that I've gotten out of the 99 is 25. The highest that I've been in a race is 3rd place. I did not finish in 3rd place, but I did get up to 3rd place, which was like one of those moments that's like a euphoria. You're like, oh my god, I might be able to do this. And then you mess up a turn, or you don't boost at the right time, or you run into some gravel, or other people boost up ahead of you. There's so many different things that can happen during a race that will put you back. And right now, there's an XP system that gives you tickets, and you can use those tickets in the tournaments, which are 5 races in a row, and whoever wins the last tournament gets like a huge XP boost. To give them more like paint jobs and parts and stuff like that for their vehicles. There's like 5 different vehicles to choose from, all with their own stats. There's the Captain Falcon one, which is kind of like your baseline, like everything's kind of equal. There's one that's like more heavy duty, that's a bit slower but has more health, which equals more boost. There's another one that's like better at turning and handling on turns. And the other one, I don't remember what that one does. I think it's another one that has like low health, but it's faster and able to go around turns as well. And on top of that, there's different things you can do during the race. So if you can do like a spin attack, which generates more sparks and actually knocks people away from you. There's also a drifting feature. If you press R1 or L1. God, what's they call RB? RB, yeah, RB or LB, right and left bumper. Going around a turn, you can actually drift a little bit. In general, it's supposed to be like a strafing procedure, but you can also drift if you use them at the right time. And there's these little jumps that you go across, you go over, which I mean, they don't really add too much to the game, other than like, oh, that's cool, I jumped over something. What else? Yeah, I think that kind of like sums it up. So far it's just been a really fun experience. It does get a little bit old after like an hour of playing. I mean, I'll probably be playing a little bit more as we go on, see if I still enjoy it in next week. But for the most part, it's one of those games. It's like, yeah, it's fun. I don't know if I'm gonna play it more. It's just kind of like, it's just a fun time. Put it, bring it up when you're kind of bored or don't know what to play, and you get kind of lost in it because it's a fun game. It's got a very nice graphical style. It's like that old SNES F-Zero style. And yeah, it's just a fun little racer. If you want to check it out, it's available right now for free. Definitely would recommend at least trying it out. Speaking of racing games, NASCAR Arcade Rush came out this past week, which is the latest in arcade racers, as the name suggests. Most NASCAR games are going to be like, simulation, etc., etc., etc. This is like the first NASCAR game that I've played that is like an arcade game. It uses these different locations with very famous racetracks, but then they change them into like these crazy like zero gravity like jumps everywhere and stuff like that. It's a pretty entertaining racer, all things considered, but it is very it's very kid friendly. If you're thinking of Mario Kart, it's more in the line on the lines of like the Disney Speedstorm Racers game, which is also geared towards kids. The NASCAR game doesn't even have drifting in it, which is one of the big detractors for me. Drifting in a racing game should be a must nowadays because it's so much fun to drift around corners. But in NASCAR Arcade Rush, you just turn your joystick and the car goes that direction. And you might think that would make the tracks a little bit less intense. No, they're still fun to race on, but it's really missing that drift. If they put a drift in this game, that would raise it above the Lego 4K Drive or whatever it's called, 2K Drive, whatever it's called, and probably Disney Speed. I mean, I guess I think this game is above the Disney Speedstorm Racer anyway, but yeah, I was really hoping for a cool drifting kind of game, and instead you got no drifting, but you got really cool track designs. There's an XP system, so the more races you finish and win, the more customization you could do to your cars. Obviously, there's more cars you can unlock by going higher in the ranks. There's two different modes. There's the rookie mode and the elite mode. It's night and day, honestly. The rookie mode is too easy, and the elite mode is a bit too hard. I've won every race so far in elite mode, but they give you a run for your money, and I don't know if that's just like the rubber banding mechanic of a racing game, but you really don't stay ahead for long when you are ahead. So there you go. Also, another great feature in this game is the boost system, and you might be saying like, "Oh, there's boost systems in every game." Yeah, I mean, like, what the fuck are you talking about? The boost system in NASCAR Arcade Rush is very unique in a way. You know how there's pit stops in NASCAR races? They stop, they get their wheels changed out, they get gas, whatever, maybe take a piss break. Here's the bottle. They kind of use that in a way to refill your boost. So you can only refill your boost at pit stops or with orange boosters, but the orange boosters give you so little boost, it's almost not even worth it. Well, of course it's worth it to go on the boost pad, but it's such a minuscule amount. It's not even worth it to have boost given to you with the orange pads. So what you need to do is, if it's like a 3 or 4 lap race, you need to decide, okay, when do I want to go to the pit stop? Because the pit stop slows you down a lot, allows the other racers to catch up and pass you, but you do get a full boost redo. And of course, the AI do have to also take pit stops as well, so it's not a one-sided affair. And I find that a really fun and interesting mechanic. I really do. I think that it's a very unique mechanic also for the game to kind of make you do a pit stop if you want more boost, because you're going to need boost to win. That's just the main story here. You got to hit all your boost pads, and you also have to make sure you're boosting in the middle of when there's no pads to boost off of. which can get a little bit tricky, especially when the courses become more tight and turny. And I like I said, I really like that idea of having the pit stop that refuels you, gives you more boost, and then you go and you have a full boost meter after that. I think that's a great idea. I think that was a perfect idea for a game like this that's based on NASCAR because NASCAR. I mean, what? It's an oval track or a big long kind of rectangle type track. Sometimes there's a curve here or there in some of the more like luxurious courses or whatever. But I'm not a huge NASCAR nut. But this game, it's fun. It's like I said, it's very kid oriented. So don't go into it thinking that you're gonna get like a Mario Kart. I mean, Mario Kart is still kid oriented, sure, but there is like a strategy and a technique to playing Mario Kart or any other racing game that has boosts and drifting and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, would I recommend this game if you have a kid? Go for it. If you don't have a kid but you like NASCAR, go for it. If you're like me and you just kind of are looking for a racing game that's going to get you into a race, like get you into it. I've been looking for a game that's not Mario Kart to get me into a racing game. I tried the Hot Wheels game. I liked it, but it didn't hold me for too long. I think NASCAR is going to be the same way, where it's like I like this NASCAR Arcade Rush game, but after I complete all the courses and I do the tournaments, am I really going to be playing any more of it? Probably not. It's just not. It's not thrilling enough. It's not. It doesn't have the drift. The drift is the huge thing. If it had a drift in there, oh man, that would be cool. But as it stands right now, it's like one thumb kind of up, but not fully up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I wish it was. I wish it was more than what it is. Also, there's like 10 courses too, which is way less than any other racing game. Even the Disney Speedstorm has like 15 courses like that. Like, come on, what are we doing here? For the price tag though, it's not too bad. It's only $40, so on sale might be worth it if you want to try it out. But other than that, it's fine. I'll probably finish up the races and call it a day on this one. Gunbrella, another game that I've been playing this past week. Big release from publisher Devolver Studios. This is I wasn't sure how to describe this game when I first started playing it because it's not a Metroidvania, but it's also not a roguelite. It's kind of like a 2D pixel art adventure game. That's the best that I can say. And it does have some kind of more difficult sections. There's like boss fights in there. And the enemies hit you hard. So it does have like a bit of like, I don't know if it's like Souls-like. I don't think a Souls-like is a really good comparison, but it does have like that Hollow Knight hit system where, you have like 4 hits and then you die. Your weapon has infinite ammo, but you can get other special weapon ammo types for it. And being the Gunbrella that you have, it also allows you to boost in multiple different directions, float down from things, ride on rails and ropes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of versatility to this game, and I think that's what really elevates this experience. This umbrella is just a traversal technique that we really haven't seen before. You get like this burst of speed and you can go in each direction. You can stun enemies by knocking into them. In this one boss fight I was doing, he was kind of wildly flailing around and I bumped into him and it caused him to like ricochet to the other side and take damage. I thought that was pretty cool. And of course, like the Gunbrella is a shotgun at its core, so it's an infinite shotgun. So you're gonna be in enemies' faces a lot. Of course, there's other ammo types to use, but they're finite, and the shotgun is infinite. So you're gonna mostly be using the shotgun form of this. And the platforming so far has been pretty fun. The combat has been pretty good. It's a bit challenging, especially at the start when you're trying to get used to how the whole Gunbrella thing works. But in the end, I thought that everything kind of comes together pretty nicely in this game. I think so far it's kind of been like it's been kind of like cruising through the story. I think there's multiple areas that you go to, of course, but the fast travel map, I guess you could call it, where you ride the train to different locations, does seem a little bit small, but maybe it's going to expand as I go through the game more, which is what I'm hoping for. Right now, the only thing that I know is that you're playing as this dude. His wife was murdered by a Gunbrella wielding person. So you go off on this quest to avenge her, and through this quest you meet many different characters from all walks of life. rich merchants, dudes who can cook rats for you to give you health. Um, this lady who's trying to travel back to where she lives. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different characters, and they're all the animations on them are very lovely. The pixel art is also really, really well done too. I think it's a very visually stunning kind of game in that aspect where the pixel art just really shines. It really does. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to interact with, a lot of places. I mean, a lot of things to kind of do and see. There's a good amount of side content that's been popping up here and there. So, all in all, I mean, Gunbrella is it's a pretty good adventure so far, and I am excited to travel through more of its world, get around and travel through more of its world, and see what's up with the rest of it right now. But as it is right now, I don't think I've played enough to really give it a full like explanation or thoughts. You know, I do think that I do think that I need to play more of it before I can really sink my teeth into a review or something of the game. So I'll let you know next week or whenever I get back to it. I'll let you know how I feel next time I play it. But as of right now, it's pretty good, pretty fun. I'm enjoying it. And finally, for new games this week, We Were Here Expeditions The Friendship. I've talked about the We Were Here series before, and me and Greedy Waffles really enjoy the co-op puzzle mechanics of the other games. The last game that came out, which was I think We Were Here Forever, was really good. It was actually really really good, and um, I was I was hoping for another game in the series to come out like this. That's a bit more of a bite-sized adventure. It's free to play as of right now up until October 12th. So make sure you grab this before it's gone. But so far, the two puzzles that we've done in the game have been pretty good. The first one was more of like a, hey, here's how you do this kind of thing. But the second one, which was based around one person was describing how a puppet looked, and the other person was telling them what symbol was underneath the puppet. It got pretty intense. I really enjoyed that. And right now we're working on a puzzle where it's like a game where you put pegs close together, and the other person is trying to get the combo meter up. It's a bit confusing, but I think we're starting to get it. That's as far as we got though. Last time we were playing. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it's been a pretty fun game so far. I don't really have much to say about it right now because we've only played a couple hours, but definitely going to get back to this and try out more puzzles in the near future, and I will talk about it again later. Been playing more Starfield. I find the ship combat to be abysmal, but everything else is actually coming together quite nicely in the game. So there's that. I don't really have anything else to say about it other than the ship battling stuff is quite stupid at times. There'll be times when you have three enemies attacking you at the same time, and there's really no way to mitigate the damage, and you just blow up and die like 15 times in a row, and then you finally get lucky, and for some reason the enemy AI bugs out, and you finally can take on the enemies in order that you want to. But yeah, I'm really not happy with the flight combat. The space combat in Starfield, which was a big selling point for the game, is just not that good. It's not that good, and I've actually gotten two different vehicles now, two more spaceships now. And I had to revert back to the original one because it had the most to offer. So it's like, why am I even buying other spaceships if the original first vehicle is so good? And also, I don't even have the skills to fly more, to fly other fucking advanced vehicles anyway. So why am I even doing it? And, you know, it's just bullshit at times. But I will say that the side quests and stuff that I've been doing have been good. I've been enjoying them. I've been skipping through some dialogue here or there, which is like, okay, whatever. But for the most part, I'm enjoying what the game is doing. It does feel more like a Fallout than I was expecting, obviously. But, you know, if you like Bethesda games and you like that kind of, you know, story-based kind of gameplay that, you know, has you doing combat here and there, it's definitely going to be one that tickles your pickle. But I'm still not satisfied with the space combat. And also the fast travel system is OP as fuck. And I just wish that there was more to do on the planets. But other than that, it's been enjoyable so far, so I'm going to keep playing it, and we'll see how that goes. And finally, for this section, we finished Modern Warfare 2019 on stream, doing the veteran game, the veteran mode, and also finishing up the platinum on it. And it was pretty fun. I really actually enjoyed the campaign in this one. I thought it was better than the Modern Warfare 2 campaign, which is more bombastic and huge. And the 2019 Modern Warfare, it's more, I don't know if based in reality is a good way to describe it, but it's definitely more of a tactical shooter than Modern Warfare 2 from 2022. And we'll see how Modern Warfare 3 works. Maybe it'll be a nice combination of the two. But as of right now, I do like the 2019 Modern Warfare campaign more than the Modern Warfare 2 campaign from 2022. And I think they're both good in general, but the Modern Warfare 2019 one just kind of edges out the 2022 one just a little bit. I mean, I just like the level design more in Modern Warfare, and I thought that, like, instead of it being like such a nostalgia driven kind of game, it's definitely more based on, like, oh, here's some new interesting characters. Here's Captain Price, of course, and some other name drops. But other than that, it's definitely more of like a tactical shooter that relies more on its gameplay than its story beats and nostalgia bait, I guess you could say. All right, let's move on to the next part of the show, which is what's in the news. All right, Toby Fox, the developer and creator of Undertale and Deltarune, gave us an update on Chapter 3, which is currently in development. He said in I guess, a little blog post that he can't say that it's finished yet, but the unfinished parts are certainly seeming less and less numerous. That's good because I'm sorry. That's good because try as I might to sleep until the game is finished, I'll see nothing but nightmares. He also said that earlier we were considering having a self-focused section in the game where you would slowly sneak around certain areas. After developing some concepts, we realized the mechanic, which basically just makes you move slower, isn't necessarily fun. So they had to retool some sections of the game, I suppose. I guess the game is now actually playable from beginning to end, but there's still some stuff that he's working on to get it over the hump. And the Deltarune stuff, I mean, the Deltarune chapters have had pretty good reviews and ratings on them. I never got around to playing them myself. Of course I played Undertale and beat that, but it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's coming around, and as a small developer like Toby Fox is, it's obviously going to take a little bit of time for the games to come around, for the new chapters to come out. I don't think we're on a Half-Life situation here where you get the 3 chapters and then never again. But yeah, it's taking him a little bit of time. So give him the time he needs, folks, and the next chapter will be out eventually. The staff behind Immortals of Avium has had some significant layoffs over the past few days. Essentially, 40 out of the 100 people, 80 to 100 people who work at the company have been laid off due to the poor sales of the game. Now, do I think the game is a masterpiece? No. Do I think the game is good? Yeah, I think the game is fun. I think it has a fun vibe to it. The story's okay. But the gameplay is like very boomer shooter, and even though you're using magic, it does really feel like a Doom, but you're just using magic instead of bullets. Like it's one of those things. It's like I think a lot of people are not willing to try this game out simply because they go, oh, it's magic and bullshit or whatever, and it's fantasy. But in the end, I mean, the game is very akin to a Doom or something like that. And I think that there's not enough people who are willing to fork over the hefty price tag for the game in order to experience it, just simply because it's pretty high price for a new IP to be in this video game economy. But essentially, the game just didn't reach the sales that the studio wanted to, which is of course the harsh reality of game design and development and stuff like that. The CEO, named Brett Robbins, said it was a painful and difficult but necessary decision that has not been made lightly. Nevertheless, we have to make this adjustment now that the Immortals of Avium has shipped. We are supporting those affected in every way that we can, including comprehensive service packages and job placement assistance, as well as support services for those who remain. I think everyone who got laid off from this game should definitely find a new place in the development world. I think that the game technically is very sound, even though there's a little bit too much visual mumbo jumbo on the screen at times. I think that the game is very technically sound, and it just lacks a little bit of polish, and the story just needed to be a little bit stronger. But as I mean, I've been playing and it's just a fun game. It's kind of like an open-ish world, and there's some like Metroidvania elements to it, and obviously it's mostly a boomer shooter. But yeah, I think that in general, I think more people should have given this game a try, especially if you like first-person shooters. But now I would say just wait for a sale, and if you want to try it out when you can. Mario Kart Tour is not receiving any more content after October's Battle Tour, says Nintendo. So a message from the Mario Kart team read, "Thank you for playing the Mario Kart Tour game. This message is to notify you that the tours that are scheduled for the future are the final ones." So we have the Anniversary Tour on the 20th of September, and then the Battle Tour and Halloween Tour in October, and apparently that is going to be it. And this, of course, coincides with the final release of the Mario Kart Booster Packs, or Passes, Deluxe Waves, Waves. So maybe they are officially moving over to a new game in the Mario Kart series. Maybe after this next wave and this battle course is done, maybe we'll be seeing a new phone game or a new game in general. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, maybe this is a sign that Mario Kart 9 is coming, or maybe this is just Nintendo saying not enough people are playing this game. Bye bye. The Stalker 2 developer, which had to move out of the Ukraine and move to Prague, unfortunately had a fire in their in their office. So they just can't escape the tough times right now. So yeah, after the developer had to leave the Ukraine when the war broke out, they fled their home nation and moved to Prague in the Czech Republic. Unfortunately, the offices that they were in fired severe fire damage the past week. An accident broke out in the development building. Thankfully, all the personnel were fine and nobody was harmed during the incident, but the team's office floors are going to require a full restoration, which is going to put a hamper on their development timeline. In a Discord message, one of the leads of the development team said, "It is true. Unfortunately, none of the employees or office staff were injured in the accident. A fire broke out in our office in Prague on Thursday. Even though the fire was successfully put out, one of the office floors now requires a full restoration. Further details of the accident are still being investigated. We express our deepest appreciation for your questions and words of support that we've been receiving. No anomaly, not even a burner, will make us stop in our pursuit of our final goal. We've dealt with worse than this before. This is fine." So it is still, it's slated to release in early 2024, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets pushed back again. And I guess we'll wait and see. I know there's a lot of people who are excited to play this Stalker 2 game. It's a very interesting looking game. And I've been interested in it for quite some time. And hopefully the restoration doesn't take too long and they're able to get back up and working soon. And hopefully Xbox gives them the time to really polish and finish up this game. That's all I gotta say. Ubisoft's X-Defiant game has failed PlayStation and Xbox certification. Now, I believe this is going to be a free-to-play first-person shooter that Ubisoft is putting out. The beta was pretty successful back when people were playing that. But of course, any game has to go through some certification process on both of the platforms, all platforms really. In a blog post, they announced that the game was going to be resubmitted in the coming weeks as they fix some of the bugs in the game that cause it to not get through. This can include trophy or achievement tracking, friend lists being updated correctly, other issues that customers could see at release need to be ironed out, like glitches or bad frame rates. But they said this is not reflective of the X-Defiant's quality in general. Obviously, a lot of games get blocked the first time that they try and go through the process of being put onto a storefront. Obviously, the certification does not mean that they were planning on putting the game out right now, right at the second, but it was one of the steps to getting to that point. So it sounds like the game just needs a little bit more work on it. Of course, the developers are currently under NDAs, so they can't really say specifically what's going on, but we can speculate and understand the problems that are going on. So hopefully next time around it passes certification, and hopefully we see more about the game, and hopefully when it releases, it's in a better state than what it would have been. Bethesda has announced the top six requested features that they want to bring to Starfield, and they are, drum roll please, brightness and contrast controls, which is crazy that is not in the game originally, HDR calibration menu, an FOV slider, NVIDIA DLSS support, the 32:9 ultra-wide monitor support, and eat button for food. So that's all the different things that right now that they're working on to bring to the game. This fucking brightness and contrast controls, like, come on, that's like a basic for any game. Hopefully they'll be bringing this stuff sooner rather than later. Hopefully while I'm still playing the game, so I can actually see some of this stuff in action. I have a NVIDIA DLSS, so I would love to use that. But anyway, that's that. They claim that they'll be supporting the game for many years to come, so keep all the feedback coming. So they're gonna keep working on it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to what's coming soon. Okay, the Titanfall 2 developer Respawn has put out a patch for the game this past week that reworked some things in the game. It was quote-unquote a major update, but essentially what it did is it fixed some of the server issues that were happening, making the game much more playable now. They also went through and they banned over 200,000 players on both Apex Legends and Titanfall 2 over the past couple of weeks here. So they are, I don't know if they're gearing up for a rebirth of the multiplayer experience in Titanfall 2, or if they're just, these are just things that they had on their list for quite some time and they finally got someone or a couple people to work on it and get it fixed. So essentially there is, they fixed some main menu disconnections. Private matches are no longer in beta mode, which has been in beta for quite some time now. They fixed the matchmaking crashes, frame rate issues, and lag in servers. They also added a new game mode called Attack on Titan, which I'm still not really sure what it is. It's not what you think it is, players versus mechs, but it seems like it's okay. I think it's like you get like a limited arsenal of like a grapple hook and a pistol or something like that, and you fly around. I'm not sure exactly though. Anyway, the peak players for the game after a Steam sale happened where the game was like $3 or $4. The peak players in the last 24 hours was 20,000. And players playing currently right now is about 10,000. So that's a huge peak from the last time that we checked out this game. I mean, it was almost dead to the point of you think that the company was going to shut it down. But they have completely revitalized it, which is great. Also, the campaign in this game is really good, so you could also check that out if you want. And it was confirmed that this patch was moved forward on both console and PC. So if you're a console player, you also get the improved matchmaking and server issues being fixed and resolved and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Love to see that. More people playing this game is always better. Why haven't you played it, Yemmy? Because I had my fill back in the day, even though I love this game and I really enjoyed the multiplayer, I just don't want to download the EA launcher to play it. If it was just on Steam and I could just boot it up on Steam, I would love that. But unfortunately, you have to boot it up on Steam and then load up EA Origins or whatever their service is, and I just don't want to do that. Marvel's Spider-Man 2, they revealed the specs for the game. There's going to be a ray tracing mode that is on at all times, whether it be 30 FPS, 40 FPS, or 60 FPS. There are, of course, various levels of visual design and resolution, but one thing is consistent between them, and that is they all have ray tracing. At 60 FPS, which is kind of like a first for the PS5 at this point. Mike Fitzgerald said to IGN, for this game, we're really able to deliver ray tracing as a baseline performance mode. There's no mode of this game that has the ray tracing turned off. No need for it. We've really figured out how to deliver what we feel is the right Spider-Man visual, and we want to make sure every player is seeing that. Obviously, there's a couple other things that they revealed during the press day for the game. I don't want to go into too much detail because some people might want to go in a bit blind. I already talked a little bit about the game anyway before. But essentially, the 30, 40, 60 FPS mode is big. And the new character models, RT reflections, lighting, density, it's all been drastically improved. Obviously, people have their hands on the game now, so we're going to be seeing a lot more about this game, but we also need to be worried about spoilers. I don't believe that these people have access to the end of the game at this point. I think they're playing like a little demo for the game, but we definitely you definitely want to be careful because spoilers are lurking around every corner, even in the replies of Twitter threads. There could be a spoiler. So if you're really worried about that, probably ban or block the word like Spider-Man or something like that for a while until the game comes out in about a month. The pre-order bonuses for Super Mario Bros. Wonder have been revealed for Walmart. If you buy the game from Walmart, you get a free trading card pack when you pre-order the game. The pack comes with 5 cards, one of them being a special hollow foil version. Each pack will have each pack will have 10 cards randomly pooled from a base of 15 cards and one of the 4 hollow cards. There will also be a limited edition hollow foil elephant head Mario numbered 1 to 1,000. So it's going to be some sort of ultra rare card. So people are going to be buying multiple versions of this game just to try and get that elephant head. So the pre-order is for about $60. You get the free trading card pack from Walmart only as of right now. Which not too bad for an exclusive thing. Also, if you pre-order the game, you get a pre-order exclusive pop-out magnet set as well that comes along with it. So the card back is going to be inside the case, but the magnet pack is a special add-on to the game as well. So that's kind of fun. Put those on your refrigerator or whatever. All 9 Picross games are coming to the Switch eShop, all the way from the 3DS era to the Switch. It's called Picross S. Essentially, they are loading up the latest edition of Picross onto the Switch currently, which is about $5, and then each other game in the series will be available throughout the rest of the year, ranging into about $2 to $5 as well. Each pack will contain 150 Picross and Mega Picross puzzles from the respective titles, providing a pretty meaty collection at the end of it all. Someone in the comments on this news article did the math and said it was about $50 for 1,350 Picross puzzles, which is a pretty good deal if you enjoy Picross. This is another big perk for Picross fans is the S Plus version, which will include Picross E9, a title that was previously only available in Japan. So Picross S Plus is currently scheduled for a 2024 release. Okay, so I was wrong about that. So in 2024 they'll be releasing the games across the year. So there you go. Right now, the Picross S game Jupiter is in early access on Steam, called Lego Art Grimoire, which is also scheduled to come to Switch as well. It's kind of like Picross, except it has like a neon aesthetic, I guess, when you're inside the puzzles. But with the Picross games coming around, they might be in some trouble. No, they're probably not gonna be in trouble. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is finally coming to consoles in a physical version on the 5th of December. It was originally supposed to come in October, but they pushed back the date for the physical version to the 5th of December. If you buy the retail version of the game, it'll include the game disc along with 6 die-cut vinyl graffiti stickers, and the cover art has been illustrated by Tan Zui Hui. Also, there is an exclusive I Am 8-bit version of the game that comes with the graffiti art book, a collectible slipcase, and an exclusive cover art illustrated by the same person, Tan Zui Hui. Pre-orders are available right now, starting from the 15th of September. So if you want to grab the game by the 5th of December, and there's also a 3 vinyl soundtrack, 3 LP vinyl soundtrack as well on the I Am 8-bit store, which isn't expected to ship until till 2024. So if you want to check it out, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk physically, now's the time. Available Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox is definitely worth your money. Ripto is coming to Crash Team Rumble in the Season 2 of the game. Ripto, it's kind of crazy that they're adding Ripto in and not Spyro. Ripto is from Spyro 2, of course. I was not a huge fan of his character in that game. But yeah, what are you going to do? The timeline for the game, they didn't really show off like a timeline. They just said like, hey, there's going to be some new maps. There's going to be some new characters. There's going to be a new game mode. Hey, there's going to be some new, accessories and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, it's a season 2 started right now. Do you have to buy it? I don't think you have to buy season 2. So that's nice. But the game is $30 if you want to get into that. I said this in the review, and I'll say it again. This really should have been like a free-to-play game, and then you buy the seasons as you want, because the game really is. It's. I don't think it's going to be around for too long. Unfortunately, even though I had a lot of fun with the game, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed my time with the game. I really wish it would have been free to play, so I wouldn't have. I don't know. I don't think the player base is going to be too strong for much longer. But hey, it's fun. It's worth playing if you want to. But I would understand being a bit, off put by the fact that it's already had a pretty dwindling player base since it came out. SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake is finally getting a native PS5 and Xbox Series S and X version. That'll be available on October 16th. It will be a free upgrade for people who already own a PS4 or Xbox One version of the game. Built into the PS5 edition is a free update that's also coming to the PS4 game, which is a new photo mode, which will let you apply 19 different filters to screenshots, while two new costumes will allow you to give your character some new gear. And a patch will also include some bug fixes, addressing issues with the save states and overall stability of the game. I had some fun with the game when it came out. I thought it was pretty good for a SpongeBob game, especially after the abysmal remaster of Battle for Bikini Bottom. In my opinion, this was actually pretty fun. Does it feel like the old style SpongeBob 3D platformers? Yes, but I think that's part of the charm of the game. Here's the complete list of the games coming to Xbox Game Pass Core, which is available Thursday this coming week. Now, Core is replacing the Xbox Live Gold games. So you're no longer getting free games every month. You're getting a set list of games that you'll be able to work around with, kind of like how PlayStation did their Essentials tier and stuff like that. So this will be available. Actually, Gold members will be able to switch to it on the 14th of September. So it's already available now if you want to switch over to the new Core system. So among all the games that are listed here, we have 36 games. I think I already announced 32 of the 36 back in the day, but now we have the full list. So let's just dive right in. We have Among Us, Astroneer, Celeste, Dead Cells, Descenders, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal Standard Edition, Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Firewatch, Forza Horizon 4 Standard Edition, Gang Beasts, Gears 5 Game of the Year Edition, Golf with Your Friends, Grounded, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Human Fall Flat, Inside, Limbo, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Overcooked 2, Payday 2 Crime Wave Edition, Power Wash Simulator, Psychonauts 2, Slay the Spire, Spiritfarer, Farewell Edition, Stardew Valley, State of Decay 2 Juggernaut Edition, Superliminal, The Elder Scrolls Online, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Unpacking, and Vampire Survivors will all be available along with the Game Pass Core, which is a pretty good lineup. A lot of different games there. I do think that this is a pretty solid lineup here. Probably the best game on this list is Psychonauts 2. So if out of any of them, you can check out that one. Do you like this more than Xbox games with gold? Let me know in the comments below. Here are the 20 games coming to PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium tiers coming along in this next week. So we have Nier Replicant. Here's the games for the extra tier. Sorry. Nier Replicant, Star Ocean Divine Force, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Sid Meier's Civilization 6, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2, Unpacking, Odin Sphere Leaf Razor, Planet Coaster Console Edition, This War of Mine Final Cut, Cloudpunk, Contra Rogue Corps, Tales Noir, Call of the Sea, West of Dead, Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness, and Paw Patrol, the movie, Adventure City Calls. And here are your premium games. These were all released on the PS4, so I don't know how good of a deal any of these are going to be. Star Ocean First Departure R, Star Ocean Till the End of Time, Star Ocean Last Hope, and Dragon's Crown Pro. Why they are bringing PS4 games to the premium tier is beyond me. because all these games have PS4 on their little thingies. So why are we getting these games in the premium tier? I don't understand. Well, anyway, let's move on to the final thing. Here are 7 games that have been confirmed so far for Xbox Game Pass in October. We have The Lamplighters League, which is a sneak stealth game where you shoot your way through a world of pulp adventures. I'm not sure what that means. Warhammer 40k Darktide is re-upping on Xbox Game Pass. I believe it was taken off a little bit ago, and now it's coming back. Forza Motorsport, coming October 10th. Cities Skylines 2, coming October 24th, which is pretty big. That's a brand new game there. Mineko's Night Market, coming the 26th of October. It's a narrative-driven social simulation adventure game that celebrates Japanese culture. Headbangers Rhythm Royale is coming October 31st, which is the crazy pigeon game. And also on October 31st, we have Justant, which is the rock climbing game, which looks pretty cool too. Very exciting. Lots of games coming in October, but it's nice that some of them are going to be available with Xbox Game Pass at no additional cost. So there's that. All right, folks. Let's go ahead and do the Song of the Week. Last week, it took a lot longer for people to guess the song. I figured that people would be able to get it right away since I talked about the game so much in the last episode. But yes, last week's song was Reunion from Goodbye Volcano High. Let's see what this week's song is going to be right now. All right, if you know the name and the game that the song is from, please let me know in the comments below or in the Discord. I'll give you a super reaction if you post it in the Discord, or I'll give you a heart and a heartfelt congratulations in the comments below on YouTube. Thank you for listening to the Fair64 podcast on whatever platform you listen on, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc. Do appreciate all the support. If you want to check out the merch store, the link will be in the description below. To spread the word of Ferret64, we have shirts, we have backpacks, I think, kind of those sling backpacks, mugs, stickers, etc. If you want to check that out, I'd really appreciate it. All the money goes into the channel, so you'd be helping support my endeavors in the world of streaming and in podcasting. Speaking of streaming, if you want to check me out, I stream on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. We're playing through Spider-Man still, Spider-Man Remastered. We're getting pretty close to the end now. We're in Act 3. And we are currently playing Conker's Bad Fur Day as well, which is actually a first-time play for me. I have never played the game before, so if you want to check that out, I'd appreciate just swinging by and saying, "What's up?" Anything else, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Threads. I also have a Yemmy the Ferret VODs channel where you can rewatch all the streams on YouTube if you so desire. Once I finish a game, of course. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening. I will catch you in the next episode. So long.
The Ferret64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. The song Nightshade, used in the intro and outro, is owned by Adhesive Wombat. Small sound clips during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. News sources include NintendoLife.com, PushSquare.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions video game related are my own. Thank you for listening.